It's just different.
Hopeless at one point, and then having an opportunity to make you go harder, make you get in that booth and just really express that hopelessness. Like, man, y'all don't understand. This is like, you know what I mean? You dig from a different place. That bottom of your soul, that pit, homie, where you felt like the shit was, you know what I'm saying? You always wanted, but it looked like it was just not gonna happen.
Shit, in your mind it ain't gonna happen, shit, it probably won't. I took some risks, some people probably won't. That's how we're grateful for the fruits of all my labor. Hard to live and know you sick, I'd rather be with my creator, thinking time's up.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Foreign Side Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Obi.
And it's your boy, London Ogletree, back for some more gems. What's up, man?
Not a thing, brother. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just taking it easy on this Friday, you know,
Right.
kind of off of work. So had a lot of things I could have did today. So I can't complain at all.
Yep. But most importantly, we got to get this content and this gems ready for the people. So start off with this. First and foremost, before we get into the episode, I just want to say, especially with last week's episode, we've been getting a lot of feedback just with, the partnership and the content we've been sharing with everyone. A lot of women and men, sharing with us how they like our conversation, like what we talk about, they like our perspective and everything. And so just for me, it's, I think gratitude and being able to show it is very important. People taking the time out to listen to what we have to say and, taking it in and giving us their feedback, I think is something that's really helpful. And one of the things that keeps me motivated in doing this. So just thank you to everyone who's sharing their time and who's been reaching out with us, whether on Instagram or in person.
Oh, yeah. I just want to say thank you as well. Like, kind of when Obi came to me at Alpha Land a few months back to be like his co-host, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to do this because, like, for me, I don't do this podcast for attention or clout or trying to get anything. Like, to me, I really like to genuinely talk, and that's probably why I'm in sales. So definitely all the feedback that we got from this, and I appreciate everybody who's come up to me or Obi or reached out to us via DM or whatever you want to call it, and just reached out to us and just said, y'all keep going, y'all are funny, y'all have a great message, just keep going. So that's always motivation to kind of see somebody's listening. So I definitely appreciate you guys.
All right, most definitely. So we're going to this week get away from the whole dating and relationship stuff. We've talked about that quite a bit. That's pretty much been all we've been talking about. But this episode was one that was kind of brought to me recently by a listener and by a fellow peer of ours. And I thought that the conversation he presented was actually very important to have. So I'm going to set the scene with a bit of a story time of what happened. So this guy told me, he was in the gym and he met someone in which the guy was leaving the gym, right, that he was going to. When he asked why he was leaving the gym, he said, well, I just don't see enough people who look like myself. I don't see enough Black people. I don't see enough people who look like me, and it makes me unsettled. It makes me uncomfortable, right? The guy says, well, if you enjoy going somewhere, if you enjoy being in a certain setting, shouldn't that matter more to you, right? The guy rebutted to him by saying, you don't understand because you don't look the same way I do. You're not Black in the same way, you're mixed, so you won't understand. And so he came to me and he came to some of the other guys in the gym that we go to and just out in general. And he was like, bro, I don't know how to feel about that. I said, you should never let anybody kind of make you feel insecure about yourself, but it goes deeper than that. So I think this is something that we should just have this conversation about. So where I want to start is just by what you hear from that story. What did you gather? And, kind of what does that tell you? What is that kind of like? How do you take that in your opinion?
It depends on the person who told him that you wouldn't understand. Was that guy who said you wouldn't understand because you're light skinned, was he Black?
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
For me, I don't like when other like full African Americans or Nigerians or whatever, like they sit there and say just because you're mixed, you're not, because you're light skinned. When in reality, if you look at an application, they're going to have to mark off that they're African American. They don't have a mixed box yet. So it's like, they're going to be considered as Black. So like, you look at the J. Cole's, you look at them, Drakes, they're considered Black. And it's like, as somebody who we're fighting this struggle all around the world together.
Mm-hmm.
And where we're kind of messing up is we're breaking each other down, and like, you won't understand because you light skin, where to me, that's just not kind of how you should look at it, which I'm sure that he will learn over time, just off of like mistakes and failures, in my opinion. I mean, he might have felt that way, and that's just how he feels. But to me, it's like, I would have just simply said, like, I don't like the environment because of there's not enough of us around. It kind of makes me feel uncomfortable, and I just kind of want to go elsewhere. And I think the light skinned guy is right. And if you want to say that in that term, like, you should, to me, I'm so comfortable in my skin as a human being. It's like, I don't care if you like me, if I'm purple, blue, pink, whatever I am. Like, you don't have to like me. I'm there for the weights. They have 3 different gyms. They have a nice environment where you can present your personality by yourself, but then people can feel energy. I'm big on energy. And once you feel that, people will gravitate to you from that. And it's like, I get it. Race is huge in this world, but it's like, you staying in your lane and you doing you, and you taking that year, like, at least take a year at the gym before you make that decision. About 6 months to a year to kind of say, I'm still getting these vibes. They're not really messing with me. Like, I don't, whatever, then you leave. But like, I don't know how long he's been there. I mean, he's only been up in what, 4 months, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hasn't been 6 months to a year anyway. So I think I get where he's coming from, because yeah, of course I feel that energy sometimes, but I mean, I met a lot of people at Alpha Land, and I think I've seen some good people there, some good people, some bad people. And it's like, regardless of what, like, it's a great gym. It's a great people there. It's bad people there. Like, that's in life. Like, I go into the office, there's bad people, there's good people. Or I go to the club, there's good people or bad people. So just kind of sum it up, like, I don't like how he mentioned that you wouldn't get it because you're light skinned, because we're all fighting that battle together, not separate. We got to stop separating each other, because they already separate us anyways. And it's like, we got to bring each other together and lift each other up. So we shouldn't be knocking each other down.
Almost definitely. You hit the nail on the head on pretty much everything I was thinking in that whole thought process. But I think even that, the conversation can kind of hit on a larger scale. But I think, like, for me, being Nigerian American, right? I used to get that growing up as well. As far as like the light skin, I can kind of relate to what he was going through, because I used to get, you're not black, you're Nigerian, like, you don't count, like, I used to get that told to me and certain things. So then when I grew up, I would say, okay, well, I'm Nigerian, right? They'd be like, well, no, you mean you're black, right? Like, as I got older, it was the opposite, right? So I just got to a point where I was just like, look, this is how it is. I was born here. My parents, they were born in Nigeria, and they migrated here. They're citizens, and I was born here. So whatever that means to people is what they have to take it as. But more importantly, I just realized as I got older that I'm not defined by what I look like. Like, my skin color, my skin tone, my skin complexion, my culture is not something I can change. It's part of who I am as a person, but I don't let that define me in terms of how I let people interact with me or how I let myself be perceived. I let my character and the way that I interact with people be what my presentation is, and people can take that how it is. Because I understand prejudice is going to be there. It can't go away. It's not ever going to go away. So people are going to look at me and think whatever they want. Big black guy, maybe he's, violent, maybe he has, reckless tendencies. And then, like, I get a lot of like, you don't sound the way that I thought you were going to sound. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, you don't sound, you sound a little bit more educated. I'm like, no, go further. Like, I'm trying to understand, and so it's little stuff like that. Like, I understand that that's just part of life. And, I don't let that stuff bother me. It is what it is. And in the end, I always live by and give everybody a fair shake. I give everybody a fair chance. And then if you're a person who reciprocates good energy to me, okay, we can be cool no matter what your race is, no matter what your sexual orientation is. Like, I don't judge people on those things. I judge people based on their character and what their heart and what's lies in their heart. So
I've kind of grown to kind of like it. Sounds toxic. Like, when people talk to me and be like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm in energy tech sales. And like, they're like, oh, for a company. I tell them. And then they're like, oh, I didn't expect you to be doing that. I'm like, what do you expect me to do? Like, tell me. Yeah. I mean, like whatever. And it's like, when I'm with the homies or something, I wear my earrings, I wear the few jewelry that I do have, or like, I have tattoos, and like, people be like, I'm like, in just society, they look at us like we do this, we sell drugs, this and this, and it's fine. But it's like I told you, I respect you, Blake, my homeboys who are just very great, Stan, like that's great with words. And it's like I look up to y'all because it took me a long time coming from Detroit to fix my grammar and fix everything and going to Katie, because it's like in reality, we don't want to be talking like we just super Ebony. Like, okay, you want to have some slang sometimes, but like it's not cool to just be talking with just improper words. Like that's not cool at all. So it's like that's kind of why we get that label.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't agree with them blaming us, but I mean, it's like we gotta do better as like articulating ourselves and kind of explaining things better, because like, oh, you're not as Black because you speak proper.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Like I literally have gotten, you're the whitest Black person I've ever met. Like that's verbatim.
I'm like, what are you talking about? You sound like a really idiot. Like, I'm sorry, like you sound like an idiot. It's like just because I educate myself and I articulate myself and be smart, does that mean that I'm not Black? That's kind of where
it's just the perception of what Black quote unquote is. I mean, keeping it a buck. And like I always kind of say, like, don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know where or how that person grew up. Like I always talk about how I moved. Before I moved, I spoke with a lot of slang in my vernacular because that was just what I knew. That was what I saw. That was how I interacted with people. I didn't think of it as a Black thing. I just thought of that's what my culture was. Like that was what I grew up around. And then when we moved, everybody, spoke proper English. They had really big vocabularies. You had to learn those type of words. And so then naturally you implement that in the way that you talk and the way that you speak. You had to learn how to write. I took AP English as one of my mentor was like, you should take this. This will really help you with reading and with writing and with speech and with public speaking, because you actually know how to interact with people. You just, sometimes you don't have all the words there that you want to talk about. So that was that, reading a lot, being forced to read at like a young age. And even as I grew up, like used to be reading was a chore, but then I'm like, no, I can take words. So like my thing is I'm big on like looking things up if I don't understand them, and then I can implement them, in regular like speak, right? Like that's just how I am. That's the way I think. It's not a matter of me trying to give off a certain image. It's just, this is how I am. This is how I was raised, and it created this person that you're interacting with today. And so that's why it's like whether a person does speak in slang, or whether a person speaks proper English, like I just know that's probably how that person was raised to grow up and know how to speak. I don't let that be like, oh, because they're that means that's some, indictment on their character,
Right.
So all of this we've kind of talked about already. It kind of poses like an interesting scenario and question for me, is just how have we been able to navigate life as men in this time, in terms of, like you said, we're both young, Black, larger, than average individuals. You're 6'4", 230. I'm 6'1", 270. And so it's like people already have this, prejudgment of what we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to act. So for you, and then you who came from Detroit and had to move down here, what was that like initially? How'd you navigate maybe some of the tension that you faced? And then how'd you learn to get comfortable in your own skin? Because I think that's the most important thing we should talk about.
This is a great question. I think starting off from Detroit, up north, I don't know if it was like how we was raised, but I was raised by some real OGs, like mama, pops, grandma, get the switch, like whoop you. Like I was raised on a lot of old tendencies, have chores. Like I'm in elementary school in 4th grade, like ride your bike from around the corner, lock up, I won't be home till after work. Like we didn't have no nannies. Like I was watching the interview with Trick Daddy on Breakfast Club. He was like, all this social media is messing kids up, because it's like these kids are getting taught by social media, where like our parents like for me, my parents raised me, my grandma raised me, like all these, like my aunties, like if I mess up over there, they whooping me. If I do something wrong, they whoop me. If I fail, they whoop. Like I just got disciplined. They be like, well, whoopings don't result to things, they just make trauma and just whatever. Yes and no, but kind of what that made me was at a young age, I had to come home lock the door up, wait till my parents get home. I get home like 2:30, 2:00 after school, and then give me a snack. Of course, I didn't do my homework as no little kid until my parents got there, but like, you kind of have to fend for yourself a little bit. You got to be a grown up for about 2 to 3 hours. Man, you're doing that 5 times a week. Like that comes out to about a little bit over 10 hours by yourself. So you kind of got to be comfortable in your own skin and kind of grow up. Like I had chores, I had to take out the trash, cut the lawn. My dad flipped homes since I've been probably in Michigan. Like, so I had to go with him in Detroit in the hood, and then he'll fix up these homes, like change the floors, take out windows, popcorn the ceiling, you name it, paint, like whatever, chip, like demo the bathroom, like whatever you could think of, I've probably done, like fix cars. Like, so it just installed me to have a grown-up mentality where they installed these things into me at an early age. So when social media came, people can't peer pressure me. I think that's something that people do to people so much, is peer pressure. Like if I don't want to do something, that person that's trying to peer pressure me is just really just wasting his breath or her breath. Like he's like, oh man, it's not that bad for you, just do it. I'm just gonna look at you like, okay, I'm gonna let you get this out your mouth. And after that, I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. Yeah. And don't keep doing it, because then I'm gonna get angry. But so it's like, I think that's the most thing that somebody has to work on, is being comfortable in their skin, because a lot of people get influenced by the outside so easily. Yeah. But coming from Michigan, I think those foundations early on taught me how to keep on a swivel and keep my mind right and watch my back, watch this, move accordingly. So that's kind of what steered me in the right direction, and me being comfortable with my skin. Yeah. I don't know how other. So when I came to Katie, to answer that part of it, it was a huge transition seeing majority of white people, but I moved to the suburbs in Michigan too. So I was in Detroit, then we moved to the suburbs in Michigan, and then, but it wasn't as many white people in our suburbs in Michigan. It was weird. But like Katy was that was like the best suburbs I've ever seen in my life. So it just taught me that, you know, I came there with baggy jeans. I had Forces. Like people like Forces now. Like you see, that's like a trend now. Like I came from baggy pants, like baggy jeans, Forces, Timbs, like wearing white tees. Like that was just what I was wearing. And so like when I come to Katy, you're not about to see that. You're about to see people wearing different stuff, whatever, tight jeans, skinny jeans, Vans. I didn't wear none of that stuff until I just had to. And then I did go in a little phase of you trying to follow people who wear Vans and stuff, but I actually like Vans still. But I grew up on baggy jeans, big white tees, that. So I had to get used to that culture. And Katy actually helped, because it molded me to be a better man that I am today. So I think you have to have a balance and just be comfortable in your own skin. So
yeah. So no, that's great. And for me, our backgrounds are a little similar. I think my thing though was, so I was the third kid out of four. Grew up in a Nigerian cultured household. And they live by the motto, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. So it's my parents, my grandmother, she raised me and she stayed with us until I was about 5. And then my dad's brother and most of his family started coming to Texas. And so, but as far as, you know, just upbringing was concerned, I mean, like you said, it was a lot of discipline. My dad did not play. He ruled with an iron. I mean, it was tough. It was not easy. But I mean, it molded us to have thick skin. Had molded us to have discipline. So, I mean, you go to school, you come back, you might eat something, you got to take a nap, or if you're not taking a nap, you get straight to the homework. You can't get on the TV, you can't get on the computer until the homework is finished. My dad would check the homework. So if you made mistakes, my dad's an engineer, so he knew all the math stuff. So if you made mistakes, he's going to make you do it all over again. So, and, you know what I'm saying? It was that type of stuff. And then on top of that, my mom was a pharmacist too, or my mom is, she's still working. So she's a pharmacist. So I got a dad as an engineer, my mom's a pharmacist. So grades, highest expectations as far as maintaining that, right? So there was no time, there was no opportunity to fool around as far as that is concerned. And then with that, they're working all the time. So you have to learn how to be, you know, sort of independent, like you talked about, right? You have to learn how to be responsible in terms of, you know, making sure you get yourself home, making sure you take care of yourself, making sure you shower, making sure you eat something, know how to feed yourself, and go to independence. And then even on top of that, like I knew in our household, if I got into any trouble, like how you talk about peer pressure, if I got in trouble, my parents, no matter whose fault it was always going to be looked at like, how'd you let yourself get in that situation? So a lot of me was like, when people would try to prepare for me and stuff, I'm like, I'm not trying to hear what my parents have to say about it later. So I'm just like, I'm good.
You're not about to get whooped, or I'm not about to sit here and let you trick me out my spot. So I go home and then I get in. No.
Yeah. And even like some of the people who they kept me away from, it was like what's the big deal? Like, that's just my friend. It's like, no, we're not having it. And you know, then it's like later on down the line, like you see where some of those people end up, and it's like, all right, I see where you're coming from.
So right? That's a good question. That's crazy you said it. So like for me, my mom didn't want me in like 7 miles southwest of Detroit, which is like some of the worst like places in Detroit. But like my grandma was like, let him be with his cousins, like let him be with his friends, because you need your family all the time. So like I grow with my cousins. Like a lot of people in Houston, I don't see them cool with their family, like cousins and stuff. Where me, my cousins are like my brothers and stuff. Like my family's like my whatever. But it's like me being over there, my mama dropped me off, and from Friday to Sunday, she don't get me. God knows what I can be doing from Friday to Sunday. Like like that's when I got introduced to like fighting, but that made me tough though. So that's why I grew up fighting. Like people will pick on you, and it's like, if I'm in the suburbs, these little kids ain't about to sit here and fight you. Like some of these people in the hood are about to really just try to fight you for no reason. So you gotta, at first you're gonna be like a little punk, and then at one point you're gonna have to step up for yourself and start fighting. So I grew up like fighting, getting tough, like getting bullied. And I was like, I would say bullied, but like they would just like pick on me until like you step up for yourself. Once you step up for yourself, they'll fall back. So these little things, or we jumping off roofs, we over here playing with BB guns, and they talking to girls early. Like my mama didn't want me to walk to the liquor store because people getting shot. Yeah. So it's like all these things. I told her, I was like, it's only half of what the heck happened. I was like, I tell her now, and she's like, if I knew that now, I would have never let you over there. But I was like, Mama, if you think about it, that made me become who I am now.
Yeah.
Because now I have the Katie side and I have the hood side. And I have both sides to be like, okay, I've seen this before. All these people want to be here. And I'm like, y'all can have it. Like, if y'all want to really be on that welfare side, I've seen that. I've seen my family. Like, I fortunately didn't have to deal with it because my dad's an engineer, my mom's that. But all my family just struggle. So it's like, I'm seeing, I'm like, and now I see these kids in Katie, they be like, man, we from this. I'm like, bro. I'm telling y'all do not want to be in that life. So it's like, it's just about how you're raised. And it's like, you can't let these kids or these individuals at a middle school or high school steer you in the wrong way. You got to have a mind strong enough to lead your own way. So,
and I think the second part is something you touched on too. You gotta have thick skin, because you will get picked on if you don't follow the group. If you don't conform, people will look at you a certain way. They will try to bully you. Like, I mean, I got bullied for my weight and for not being a follower, because it's like, hey, Mike, hey, just come on, just come do this, and don't tell your parents. I'm like, nope, I'm not having to deal with getting my butt whooped when I get home because y'all want to do what you want. So like, I was the type, if I wanted to go somewhere, I always had to call mom or dad at work and be like, hey, I'm gonna be here, even if I'm going next door. Hey, I'm going next door. And if I don't tell them, then you getting your butt whooped, because like, they don't know where you are. Right. They're really big on knowing where you are. But then you go to their culture, right? Growing up in Africa, if you leave the compound and you don't tell anybody who you are, you can get swiped and people don't know. So it's like, that's kind of the mindset that they take on. It's like, but we're in America. No, they don't think that way.
It's kind of like that with my parents. Like, if it's not the point, but I just want to know you here. So if we hear something like London was like this place in here, I know my baby at John's house. Or I know my baby's here. Like, but if he says, I tell you, I went to this park, and they say, well, this park got shot up, I can shoot from work and try to get there and see what you at. But if I don't know where you at, I'm just sitting here looking crazy, and like, you about to make me mad because you're not doing the proper things I told you to tell me. And it's like what you said, like, if they get swiped up, it's like, then what? And like, these people don't care about you outside the house. So it's like, communicate with me.
Exactly. And then like, on the other end of it, it's like, luckily my parents, like I said, they always made sure that we were taken care of. We always had a bed to sleep in. We always had food. So like, we grew up really, not spoiled, but just we were always able to get by. But what I see in terms of understanding people who are impoverished was a lot of my friends were coming from like third ward side when they opened the highway. So a lot of people who were lower class, they were moving and going to school with me. So I saw what that was like. I saw the mindset. And then even some of my mom's family who were starting to move down here, they had to build their lives from scratch. So I was with them every weekend. Like I would have to go babysit some of the kids. I'd have to babysit my cousins. I'd have to help them move furniture. We'd have to bring them stuff. I'd have to bring them money. I'd have to drive them around once I started driving. So it was like when I moved, I was still ingrained with, I seen what struggle looks like. So for people who like, oh, I want to live, the ghetto slang life, I'm like, bro, you do not. It is not fun like they make it out to be. It is hard and it is a struggle.
Cool.
So
dangerous and it's horrible. So
yeah, man. But now on the next thing is like I said, we're two African American males. How did you kind of like come to grips with like understanding you can't change what you look like? Because I think a lot of guys or a lot of people in general voice frustration with like, man, it's such a struggle being a minority in a country where minorities, you always get the short end of the stick, they believe. So how did you kind of overcome that? Because I have my way, but I want to know what you were kind of thinking in that regard.
I mean, like I tell all the homies, I love being black. I mean, you can't take that from me. Nothing. Like I'm not gonna sit here and downgrade no other culture, but I'm just gonna keep it a buck with everybody.
Most
LeBron
definitely
said a quote, like they eat what we eat. You see how we dancing. You see the shoes that these people wearing. They wearing ones now. They wearing Jordans. Like they listening to Wayne. They listen to Lil Wayne. They listen to Drake. They listen to R&B. Like whose culture is that? If y'all want to be honestly and me be honest with you, like that's our culture. So like when I went to Texas Tech and I seen like racism and stuff at some frat party and stuff, I take one thing I don't like is I'm not gonna fight everybody for saying the N-word. But I will confront you by, look, bro, don't say that again. I'll say it one more time. I'm gonna say it one time, that's it. And if you disrespect it, then it's Afghanistan. But my thing is, you don't like me for being my skin color, but you listen to Lil Wayne, you listen to J. Cole, you listen to them because they got some type of clout. Not making no type of sense. Take off that jersey you got on right now that got Carmelo Anthony or LeBron James or something, because you know what? He's black too. If you stop all these black people from playing sports, we have no sports. So it's like, to me, I love being that because I know what the heck we bring to the table. We might not get acknowledgement for it, but I know what the heck we bring to the table.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not, if you look at it from, my mom was born in 63. She was born in Detroit. That's one of the key cities of civil rights movements. Like, Rosa Parks from Detroit, Aretha Franklin from Detroit, Stevie Wonder from Detroit. She's seen a lot of these different things, like the riots in Detroit. And I'm like, I asked her, I'm like, how did you deal with all that stuff? And she was like, I was kind of little. I didn't really see too much of it. I was like 4 or 5, but like my dad would say, like there was stuff like that and that. But for me, if you go from 63 to now, it has gotten better. Like it has gotten better from 63 to 2. It's not all the way there, but what we have to do is we got to make it good for our generation. So me, I'm comfortable in my skin and love it because I know what we bring to the table. Like I just mentioned to you, those key things. As Black people, we have to realize that we bring a lot to the table. And it's like, if they don't acknowledge it, they don't acknowledge it. But we acknowledge it. Like when LeBron was like, we do all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. As long as we know they wasn't wearing no forces. You know how many people went? I can't even go to the Galleria no more and just pick me up some forces at the mall no more because everybody wearing forces. Everybody wearing Timbs. That's what we wear. And it's like, now everybody want to do that because it's cool. So it's like, whose culture does that come from? It's like, they're not going to give it to us, but as long as we know, that's all I say. As long as we know, I love being Black. I love being African-American. If it's a little bit harder, I was built off struggling, doing things that different ways. So I don't mind working a little bit harder because that's going to make me feel even better when I get there.
I was told the other day that other people respect Black people because they know struggle, because they know how to overcome it. And I'm like, I acknowledge that. And again, it's not about making this a race thing, but it is acknowledging that like cultures and like race does play a factor in people's lives.
Right.
It does. Yeah, I mean, and it's like even for me, like I'm like I embrace that. I embrace that wholeheartedly, and I just like look, I am what I am. I can't change that, but what I can do is embrace it, and I can help people understand where others are coming from, right? Like that was the thing. Like you said, when white people say, the N-word and stuff of that nature, you are like, yo, I'm gonna give you a fair warning. My thing is I embrace it almost like, what do you want to gain from that? Like I learned that growing up around rednecks and stuff who would say it. I'm like, what did you want to gain from that? And they're like, that's not the reaction I thought you were gonna have. I'm like, no. Now we're gonna really have a conversation. And they're like, well, I didn't mean to. No. You meant to offend somebody, but like again, what do you hope to gain? And then they're like, well, look, I just grew up. And then you start to understand the mentality. They get kind of trained to think that way. It's like, well, look, I was taught to think that black is black, white is white, and that black and white shouldn't mix, and that white is superior. And I'm like, well, that's unfortunate for you. You know what I mean? So
like, I mean, that's sad because like this streak can get broken so easy, but it's like we think it's stopping, but like there's a lot of, and like you say, you're not trying to make it a race thing, but it's a topic that needs to be touched. And it just is what it is. Like there's a lot of things that's happened in our, like the George Floyd stuff like that. Like, if you want me to be honest with you, like the repost and stuff, I don't care if white people do that or not, because I don't think that's going to change anything. That like a lot of people might just post that just so they can just bring off heat off their back. To me, it's like my ex, her family was like that. And I used to tell her, like, you might not understand how it is to, like, I don't know if you do this, Obi, but like I'll be driving in the car. I can see a cop just by me, like just by me. My music always blast. I'll turn, it's just automatic. I just turn my stuff down. If I see a cop over here, I'm in the mirror looking like, it's just like you gotta be in your P's and Q's. And then like I've been in the car with her, she was white, and it was in Katie. A cop was like, "Are you okay, ma'am?" I'm in the passenger seat. She's driving. The cop said, "Can I see your ID, sir?" I said, "For what? I'm not even driving. What do I need my ID for?" So I told her, I said, "You might not know how it is for me to feel uncomfortable. But I said, if you ever have a kid with me, that's going to be your flesh and blood." I said, that kid, your daughter, your son's going to come home one day and be called the N-word. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And when it does, you gonna feel that because that's your blood, that's your baby girl, that's your baby's son, and it's like now you're gonna feel it. So I used to tell her, learn the history, learn it. You're never gonna understand where I come from or this because you wasn't brought up like that. But try to be understanding. You're never gonna get where we come from or how this is, but at least try to be accommodating and be like, okay, we're different. They have different. We have more privileges. We have more situations like that. And then maybe you can be the stopping point for that generation next to say, we're going to continue to be the racist, because it takes one person to educate the next one. And when they educate them, then they will continue to do things differently. All it is like not being educated. Yeah. Like these people just don't know. And it's like, some of them just ignorant, don't even want to know. So it's like,
yeah, the ability to be blissfully ignorant enables people to be blinded. Right. And to be deaf on the issues, right? I want to go a little deeper, and I want to ask you, this one's going to be a little bit tougher question. So there are those who have the mentality that, well, because like another culture, another race won't understand where you're coming from, you shouldn't either have relationships or have families with people who don't look like you, right? So Black people shouldn't marry, date white or Hispanic or Asian or any type of other, like you should stick to your own kind. That was what I used to get told. What is your belief on that? What is your take on that?
Whew. Okay. I have two sides on this. This is a good one. I love this question, right? As y'all know, I've dated a white girl for 6 years. I don't run from it. I've heard Black women tell me, "Oh, I know what type of dude you are." I laugh at that because I'm like, I'll pick y'all apart because I know where I come from. I probably come from the most grimiest places you could find over here. So I'm like, yeah, you ain't got to sit here and tell me where I come from. I just be like, okay, she's oblivious, she's whatever. But I educate that Black. I'm saying, why do you think I'm like this type of guy? Because several Black girls told me this white woman won't understand how our kings feel such when they want to get pulled over, or when things get, as I don't want to go really deep in that conversation, but like situations with like when that guy from he's from Dallas and they lived in Miami. I guess that white girl stabbed him. But I've seen a lot of Black people on social media like that wouldn't happen with a Black woman. If you want me to really be honest with you, I agree with that standpoint. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I definitely think after me being in my 6-year relationship and seeing that racist side of it, I do, because her parents used to be like, well, whites are supposed to be with whites, blacks will be with blacks. Of course, we're not the same. That's not the point. But the point is that you're a human being, I'm a human being. We connect mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. We have the same values. We disagree with stuff and we just love each other. And that's kind of why I looked at her parents like they're immature. They're just stuck in their ways. Where my parents was like, I don't care if she blue, purple, pink, gold. Like, I don't care. I love her for her. Yeah. But it's like, I do think you connect with your race more because they just naturally, they've seen what you went through. I'm not saying you should be with your race, but I do agree with they have the same goal. They have the same common things that you have versus that other culture. But I definitely think you should be able to date who you want because that's not what life is about. And that's not fair to white women, Asian women, Hispanic women trying to date blacks or whites. That's not fair to everybody around the world. But I can't date you because you're this color because my parents are like Asians don't want them. Like I know a girl, she's Asian, like her parents don't want them with black people. Like I think we're the most hated culture. I hate to say that, but we are. And it's like it's unfortunate, but we have to all come together as in the world and just kind of try to stop it slowly. So I don't know. I'm like 50-50 with it now because of what I went through. So I'm probably not the best. I probably want to hear your take on it because I'm like, yeah, maybe we should. I tell you all the time, yeah, I'm staying with my kind. And I'm not saying I will, but most likely I might be with a black girl. I ain't gonna lie to you. But like if a woman presents herself in a manner that she's loving, financially stable in some things, like she can do things for me that I'd be like, I need this woman in my life. And she could be white, Asian, Indian, whatever. I would look at that and I could potentially see myself marrying them. But I think you have a different look at it. And I'd love to hear that from you.
So for me, I almost look at it as if we decide to quote unquote stick to your own kind, you're letting the enemies of progress win because you're giving them what they want. Right. I say people should be with whom they find attractive, whom they have a connection with, and who they're culturally aligned with. And as far as beliefs are concerned, right. That's the way I look at dating. That's why I look at partnerships, because the fact of the matter is the world is more diverse than ever. Racism is still present, but it's better than it was. And so then with that, it gives people the opportunity to come together and really start to learn other people's cultures. Like that's one of the things I love to see. That's one of the things I love to do is to share like Nigerian food, people who've never had it before. I love to see people of different cultures, different races, different customs coming together and sharing and learning, because I think that's the problem I see is that I have this way of thinking, this other person has that way of thinking, and we have this sort of tribalism where because you don't agree with what I think or what I believe or what I say, you're wrong, and therefore you're not a good human being because you don't align with me, as opposed to saying, well, okay, let me see where you're coming from. Let me see what your thought process is. Why do you think that way? Why does your culture think that way? Right? That's what I think we need more of, in my opinion. And so it's like for someone to, I would say, limit themselves to just one. You never know what your soulmate, if people believe in soulmates, you never know what your wife, your husband could look like. You never know where they come from. Right? So you're going to limit yourself to one, culture, to one ethnic group, to one demographic, to one dynamic, because the world tells you that's how it's supposed to be. So it's more so a matter of not letting the enemies of progress win. I look at it that way, and just people understanding whom and what they want and going for that. You shouldn't let yourself be blocked from marrying someone that you're in love with or whom you have found like maybe your life partner because maybe a culture or society or people who are supposed to, like, I feel like if your family really truly is that against you dating someone outside of your race, then they really don't love you like they say they do. They should be able to understand that you've been able to find someone good. Hopefully you did find someone good and who you relate with and who you get along with. And then that should be the most important thing to them. Now, if their culture is different, that's something that maybe either they can learn about, but that's just my opinion.
So do you think, for example, if your family or their family and the girl's like, I don't want you dating this black guy, I don't want you dating this white guy, I want you dating this, and she's like, I love him, dad, I love him, mom, uncles don't like him, just because of skin. It could be white, black, whatever. And do you think you should put that woman through that pain?
No, I don't.
That's why I'm like, I've learned
it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
That's what I'm saying. You're never going. I used to think that like you shouldn't let the other person win. I was all on your side. I was like, I'm gonna make sure they know I'm gonna come out and make it 80, 90. I've heard her mama saying this. It's her dad saying like his tattoos have drug money and like B words on it, like women on it, and like saying like does his family members locked up? Like, to me, that's horrible. Or like, you need a rich man. Like, these are things that I've heard. So it's like me, that turns me on. That lights a fire in me. So I'm like, wait till they see whatever. And then I realized I could not win. I can't beat them because at the end of the day, they gave birth to this person. They've always had her back. She might say she loved me, and she really might love me.
But the ties are too deep. The ties are too deep, and it's too ingrained.
The ties are too deep, and that's why I said, if you get with your culture, which I'm gonna give you the back end story. If you get with your culture, you already know you ain't got to deal with race. That's already eliminated. Now, would I agree with you with the whole being with a Caucasian woman? Her family she grew up seeing her mama say, I love you, dad, doing anything to make her mama happy. I ain't grew up seeing it. I've seen my parents, typical African-American stuff. I hate to knock on African-Americans on that, but most of our families, not all, most of our families have seen some stuff through domestic violence, this and this, even though white people go through it as well. But I didn't see that. I love you holding hands, that and that. What she taught me was, it's okay to let your guard down. It's okay to say, I love you. It's okay to be out in public and not be all macho man, this and this, because you trying to be tough too hard because somebody might think you soft. That taught me that I can be a vulnerable man, because I'm like, I'm 6'4", 250, 60 pounds. Like, I'm swole, this and this. I can't be no emotional guy. She taught me to let that guard down. So I think that's the benefit of, like you said, learn each other's cultures. She taught, like, they say white people just make casseroles and everything, or this. She cooked some things. I'm like, okay, stuffed bell peppers. Like, even though like it's just a little different, I'm okay. I'm used to like soul food and mac and cheese, dressing greens, like all that stuff. And then I put her into R&B, like real old R&B. Like people don't like him. I mean, I'm gonna say his name, but like I'm gonna say Usher. I'm not gonna say his name. Usher. You got Brian McKnight, like this old people, like Luther Vandross. Like I put her on that, and then she's like, "Dang, this music is one of my favorite musics." And it's like we coexist that way, but I still got to say that it didn't make us last, because after me having that relationship with her, we was like this, regardless of what we went through, I still say me and her relationship was like Bonnie and Clyde. The only reason why we messed up was because of the parents. You're never going to win if the parents are against you. I just don't think you're never going to win. And so I think you should go with your culture.
I just say that if you are going to try to, date another culture, you have to understand that there's going to be inherent biases that come with it. Do you understand that, and are you okay with dealing with those type of things? It's not just with the family, but in society as well, right? So I think that's the overall, take home, is that, look, you can stay within your culture and you can date what's familiar to, and people do that, on the regular. And then there are those who have been able to make it work. So there's no right or wrong way. There's no one way. Is the take home, right? It's just, you have to understand what challenges might come with, your decisions, like anything in life,
I agree.
All right. Now, the next thing is, okay, we've talked about how we've been able to develop kind of being comfortable in our own skin. But aside from that, it's also, you can't control what your skin looks like, but you can control how you treat people and how, and who you choose to associate with. So in that, you hear that, and what do you kind of think? Like, how did you not let yourself be disrespected? I know you mentioned a lot of your Detroit upbringing and that kind of, creating a harder shell, but even understanding that you have to, show restraint from time to time, and you can't always, take the clashful route, so to speak. So how'd you understand and navigate that?
It took me a while to learn this because I struggle with this every I mean, not that I get into altercations at all.
Yeah.
I'm just big on respect. Like, I'm gonna give you respect, and so I demand respect. Not that I request, I demand respect, because like, I'm not about to sit there. Like, I don't know if you notice me, Obi. It could be somebody 5'3", 150 pounds. Excuse me, big dog. Excuse me, big. Like, I'm not about to sit here and outpower this little dude because he's just smaller than me. Or if it's a big dude, excuse me, big dog. Appreciate it, big homie. Like, I'm not about to sit here. I don't look at somebody's size, and I actually get more mad if the person's 6'8", 350 pounds. That's gonna make me more mad because now I'm the little one. You thinking I'm soft. So for me, I've learned how to speak to people, and like how treating. LeBron said a great quote in his last shop episode. He said,
"You really can't give a fuck what people think or say about you." Yeah.
No. The last episode, he said, you got to watch how you treat people because you don't know who you're talking to.
That was the other quote. Yeah. That was the first one I said. I like that one he said. And then that was the other one too, because we're talking off camera. We're talking on camera about this, that first impressions and, your initial sort of presentation that you give to people matters. And that's what they take from you. So if you come off as a type of person, like I'm big on, I don't ever like to bother people, and I don't want to be bothered. Right. I'm going to give everyone the same fair shake. I'm going to give everybody the same opportunity. Then you take with that what you will. If you're the person who, like, I give everyone the same head nod of acknowledgement, right? If you reciprocated, all right, cool. Now I know you all right individual as far as I know, right? But if you're a person who just tries to look me up and down, I'm like, okay, I don't mess with that person. Or that's just someone who I know, all right, may have a little bit more animosity towards them. You know what I mean? So, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. I think it was a good point. Like, me, I'm very staying to my lane, same as you. Like, I'm not about to, and like I said, we talk about social media so much in this show on top of relationships, but social media creates maybe 80-70% of our world now. Like, it's like you can do so many things to monetize your lifestyle. And it's like, you don't have to just fall into this corporate America no more. Yeah. And that's why I think we have so many more millionaires, is because of that, because we have so many options. So my thing is I'm not a person to like you because you have 70,000 followers. That's never been me. Like I said, I grew up in an era where, I grew up in this era, but I just grew up in an era around people who didn't have social media, or who have minutes for phones, or who didn't have nothing. So it's like to me that I still have that background. So it's like, I grew up playing football in the street, playing basketball in the street, or we might have a concrete basketball court outside. Some of these people. So it's like, I'm used to people not having anything. So like, I'm not going to treat you with 70,000 followers differently than the person who's like the mailman. Like, to me, I've always said this since I've been a kid. Just because you're the CEO of the company and you a trash man, I'm going to say yes, sir, no, sir, to the trash man and the CEO, because he's a human being at the end of the day. Like, that's where we just lose focus on. People be like, oh, like somebody, Blake told me somebody that he talked to, he's like, do you know who I am? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and Blake was like, what do you mean, do you know who I am? I don't give a dang who you are. Right. Like, that doesn't make, like, you ain't big enough for me. I actually don't know who you are. Like, you're actually not that big enough for me to know. So it's like, I don't even get starstruck by seeing LeBron James. If like, I'll be like, damn, that's LeBron James. Like, that's dope. Like, I never thought I'd see him in my life, but it's LeBron James. I'm not about to go sit here and jump on his back, ask for a picture. That's never been me. Let alone if I see somebody with just 70,000 followers. Yeah. So it's like, when I see those people, I'm gonna say, how you doing? This and this. And if we have a dialogue, we cool. Yeah. And then we create a friendship, we cool. Right. But I ain't gonna sit here and be like, man, I'm trying to be cool with him because he can put me in this situation. I'm trying to be cool with you because you had a genuine personality. You dope. I want to bring you over to my crib. Maybe we all can drink. Like when you came over last weekend with Rico and we were just all drinking, we were just chopping it up, sitting down, talking. That's how I like to interact. We just be sitting here chilling. And then we're going to go out and have fun. And if nobody want to chill with us, man, we can stay at my crib or go to y'all crib or whatever, and we just have fun. That's just who I am. I don't want to be on sections all the time and in this club doing this, talking about, man, I got this bottle, I got this. That's not me. I'm just about treating everybody around me respect, and that's why I demand respect. And then people be like, well, when you do this, you're about to pop off, and that's ugly. I'm like, no, he pushed me there. I feel like he bullied me, so I bully the bully. So once you bully me or whatever, I gotta bully you.
Well, you tested me as a man. What do you expect me to do? Like, that's the one thing like I had to learn growing up was like, especially when people try to bully you, the only way to really get them to stop is to stand your ground and like,
put your foot up there.
Put your foot down. Like, yo, hey, I'm not sure where you're trying to take this, but just know I'm with whatever you're about. It's not me trying to incite violence. It's not me trying to be standoffish. It's not me trying to be confrontational, but I'm letting you know, listen, I'm demanding respect as a human being, but as a man, first of all. And so with that, I'm on whatever you're on, right? I'm not, hey, if you don't want to take it there, we ain't got to go there. But if you are, just know I'm with whatever. It's just a matter of not letting yourself be disrespected. Like people who, I get this, I'm sure you get this too. People automatically assume the worst about me because I'm a big guy. Like, and then it's like when I talk to them, they're like, oh, I thought you were going to be violent, or I thought you were going to be standoffish, or I thought you were going to be, I had to learn how to not look at people that way. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you said, I don't like bothering people and I don't want to be bothered. So, in the end, I just look at my interactions with people and I just take them for what they are. Like a person like yourself, me and you locked eyes in the gym. It was like, what's good? Oh, I see you in here all the time. What's good, big dog? And the next thing you know, we're on here podcasting together. You know what I'm saying? Like those type of things that I value. And like, I think us growing up in a time, like we kind of hit puberty and kind of grew up just before social media was a thing. So I think we still were able to learn how to have genuine interactions with people. I think so many people have this artificial like personality, so to speak, where it's like everything is lived through their phone. But then if you try to have a conversation with them in public, it's like, this doesn't compute. I can't type what I'm feeling right now. You know what I'm saying? But me and you, we actually still value like having that in-person interaction, having that just quality time with people. We don't need to be on the phone all the time. You know what I'm saying? So
like, it's crazy. Like I'll be texting a girl and they be like, man, you suck at texting. I'm like, look, I suck at texting everybody now. Like, I'm sorry, I'm working 8 hours a day. I'm going straight from work to leaving the office straight to the gym. Yeah. I can't see you all the time and reply to you 24/7. If you can't understand that, I'm sorry, go text somebody else for 24 hours. I'm not the one. So
you mean you don't want to fight and you don't want to put in more effort?
I don't want to argue. And that really kills people. I just don't want to argue with you. I'm like, you're right. Okay.
You giving up?
Dang. I'm like, that's my favorite one. Dang.
Nah, we ain't even talking about that this week, bro. But yeah.
Dang.
Childish, bro. All right. But now on to the next thing, though. I mean, definitely dropping some bars so far. But the next thing I think to talk about is just not limiting yourself to confines or blocking opportunities because of maybe where you presently are, your present surroundings, right? So for you who works in corporate America, you're having to learn how to network and talk to people. In the gym, you're having to learn how to talk to people, network, and maybe it's people who don't look like you, but you're having to still interact with them. You're having to learn not to judge them. So how do you go about that and navigating that, in day-to-day life, do you think?
I struggle with this to this day. I talk to all the homies about this. My friend group is so authentic, is ridiculous. And it's like the people that I really get close with is like, I just value them. And I be like, I look at them and like, how can they fit in the puzzle of who we are as a group? And if they fit in any type of puzzle, and I'll be like, okay, I could rock with them. I could see them inside, like I said, my crib or go place with them. Like, if not, I just don't see myself really chilling with them. It's like, but on the back end of it, we struggle with some of these things. Like if somebody is trying to, like you said, we're not about to go up to somebody with 80,000 followers or this and this. Like I want to get it myself. I want to get it out the mud. It's okay to network, guys. Like it's okay to have a conversation with somebody, and then this guy was like, "Man, I would love to help you," and you be like, "Nah, I don't know, he might be onto something." That's networking. That's all. Like when you think of LinkedIn or something, it's crazy how building your LinkedIn and networking with somebody, or somebody already being a corporation or something, that can get your resume to somebody and give you a better benefits, like in getting that opportunity for that job. And it's just called networking. It's not nothing against it. Or if you're trying to be sponsored by a company, say you knew the owner of Nike, you will be sponsored by Nike probably. And it's like, just because like you know who that is, or you might have a good chance of just getting free stuff. But it's like networking with these people give you opportunities to open up doors and go through new things. So it's like, don't block your blessings. And that's something I tell myself every day. Like, you can't do everything yourself, Lenny. You need help. You can't make Rome by yourself. You got to have help. That's point blank period for that one.
Yeah, most definitely, amen. I mean, I'm the same way. I still struggle with this to this day. It's just like you said, like understanding that you don't have to do everything by yourself. Like it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to want help. It's okay to have people who have, large networks who maybe can help you get opportunities. Like those things are good, right? But it's like, I don't want people thinking I'm trying to fiend off of them. I'm not trying to have people think like that's all I want. Like, I'm like, no, I want to know you, the person first. You happen to have a great network, and if you put me on, I'll be forever indebted and forever grateful. But, that's not my purpose for being friends with certain people who have big followings, like, but it just goes to, I think it's a pride thing. One, and I think we kind of get told in our culture, like, no, you need to get it. Like, that's the only way to truly appreciate the struggle is to get it by yourself, is to go through it the hard way. It's like, nah, I mean, there are many people who they were at the right place at the right time at the right opportunity, and that's what helped them blow up. That's what helped their business take off. It's the same thing here. It's like us now trying to build this up. Like, I know a lot of people who have large influence who were like, I'll help you, I'll post. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want you feeling like that's all I'm like friends with you for. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they're like, nah, I want to help y'all because I actually believe in y'all's message. You know what I'm saying? It's like, for me, having people know that like they believe in what we're talking about means more to me than having a big following, right? I don't mind building something organically because I love doing this. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, at the same time, I do want us to reach a larger audience to help spread the message, because you don't know who might need to hear what we're talking about. Like in today's episode, I think is going to be really important. So it's like, that's why I care about being able to reach a large audience, is to be able to get the message out to as many people as we can. But that's something that it's like, how am I going to go about doing it? I want to do it the right way. But what is the right way?
Right. What is the right way? It's got to learn by you getting older. Failure's fine. Like, I mean, there's so many things I've started and haven't finished. Like, I seen Dame Dash say something. He says, dreams are made to be killed. He says something like that. So basically, if you have a dream and you fulfill that dream, it's okay to have another dream and be like, you don't have to just keep running with the same dream. And it's like, just act upon it. Like, for me, I love being in the fitness industry. And then, like, I don't know if that's really a passion for me anymore. I want my body to be amazing. You see, I lost 37 pounds, but
Congrats.
Thank you. It's not a dream of me to own my gym no more, or do something like a supplement or my meal prep. To me, it's not really that big of a dream anymore, because I'm not. I just want to be successful at this point. Me being I don't mind being in corporate America and then venturing off, getting into real estate and rental properties and venture off like that. Like, I'm seeing how much I make in corporate America or this and that. Like, I'm okay. I can go in a different angle and not have to. And then I can probably go back. If fitness opened up the door for it, I wouldn't run away from it. But I think with me, this podcast, that's more me than the fitness world, and kind of fitting into that, like trying to do that. To me, I like to have these conversations, and to me, it's therapeutic. And if I can blow up from this, and if that was what was in God's vision, then that's cool. But like, I'm not. Like I told you, if we didn't get nothing from this, I told you I still do this every week, just because to me this is dope, and that is what I like to do. So
it's kind of the same thing with me, honestly. Like at 18-year-old me was big on fitness and powerlifting, bodybuilding. I wanted to do all of that. But then as I got older, it was like different. It was a different part of the brain that was like, I mean, I like being fit, obviously being in shape is important, but like the bodybuilding, the powerlifting stuff wasn't what motivated me anymore. And I don't know what it was that happened, but it was like, I just like talking to people. I like learning from people. That's why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start a podcast. It wasn't about me trying to go viral or me trying to make money, or it was like, I like talking to people like on a regular basis. And really, truly, like keeping a buck with you, it's like, I got through the first year. I was like, I was challenged, get through 1 year, 52 episodes. Like one of my homeboys, Marcus, challenged me, get through 1 year. After I did the 1 year, like I was kind of like, okay, I did it. That was fun. That was a little passion project of mine. Now I'm gonna move on and try to figure out the next thing. And then it was like, people started coming to me like, yo, I listened to your podcast. Are you gonna bring it back? Like, are you gonna do it again? Are you still doing it? And I'm like, okay, there's something there. So maybe this is like, that was a sign from, the man above, like, yo, keep on doing this. You like doing it. People are actually listening. And then just so happened, I got through like the first couple of episodes and I was thinking, I'm like, where do I want to take the direction? And it just so happened, that was the week that me and you were talking about it, and you were like, yo, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. I'm like, well, I keep getting told I want like people, like I should have a co-host. So I'm like, have you thought about being on one? And then boom, So it's funny how opportunities kind of create themselves when you're doing things that you love and when you kind of are doing things that you want to do. Yeah, most definitely. And even now, like us just talking what we talk about on a regular basis with people, now we're getting the feedback that we're getting. So I mean, it's crazy the opportunities that have been presented just in this short period of time, and all the stuff we talked about. All right, great conversation this week. Let's close out, man. So the take-home message from my perspective, I'll go first on this, is I think just people got to learn to be comfortable in their own skin. Prejudice is part of life, but it's nothing that should ever deter you from living and from being comfortable and being happy with yourself in the end. As long as you are striving to make a better life and a better decision for yourself, that's what should matter. Find people who you value, and most importantly, who value you, and just keep on living life, man, and be happy and be blessed. That's my take on. What about you?
1% every day. That's all you can do. You can't look at the end goal anymore. That's gonna kill you. If you're looking at, I gotta lose 50 pounds and like, how am I get to 50 pounds? Focus on a pound a day. A pound a week. And then if you get over that, then so be it. Or if I'm trying to make $50,000 a year. Like, don't look at how am I going to get it. I got to do this and this. Just write out a plan. Be alone. Like, don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to sit down in your house by yourself, have a drink of wine or have a glass of alcohol or like something at your own place. Watch some TV, watch a show, jot down your thoughts and writings and write out things. And we have social media, like use it, Google, like just research everywhere. Like if you need to know any different answer, you can find it on Google. There's no way that all of us in this world shouldn't be successful because there's enough money to go around for everybody. We don't got to be jealous of people. We don't got to be hating on people. Like everybody can eat. There's a table for everybody. It's just, you got to find your own chair and you got to sit down at it. And it's just like, take that 1% and keep going. Don't give up, because the next person is going to take that and go off of it. So why not be you? That's my take.
God damn, what was that you just said? You said everybody has a table, get your own chair. I said, God damn, that was fire. You're that boy London, man.
Yeah, I should be a rapper because that's all about.
Oh man, that was bars, legendary. But anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for this week, y'all. Hope this conversation helps y'all, and hopefully y'all can share this. But like always, we appreciate all of you guys who listen and tune in, obviously, to the show. Help me in London, give us topic suggestions like this week, and we're gonna keep on bringing the content for you guys. As always, follow me on IG at ob.mike56. London, plug your Instagram for the people.
Yeah, follow me at London LONDON_OGLETREE. Follow me on IG. I'm about to put my link for the what is it called? T-Tree?
Linktree.
Yeah, I'm old, y'all. I'm gonna be doing I'm gonna put the link of Linktree, and then y'all can kind of see more of the links, how to get to our podcast. We're about to ramp this up a little bit more every week and start giving out more and more gems. If y'all have any topics that y'all would love for us to dwell on, or keep shooting us out DMs, or if you see us around, just ask us. We're thinking about getting people to come on the show, and we're looking at places. So pretty soon we're trying to get people on here. So we would love to kind of have a debate on what other people think as well, because that's what it's all about.
Most definitely keep opening the conversations for the culture, keep dropping these gems. But that's a wrap for this week. We'll catch y'all next time. We're out.
Probably won't. I took some risks, some people probably won't. That's how we're grateful for the fruits of all my labor. Hard to live and know you sick, I'd rather be with my creator. Think the time's up. I hit the stool and got my rhymes up. I put in work, I can't define look. You mix my talent with my willingness to go and do it. That's how you get the tiger.